Welcome to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a game in which if you want to play with modern day hardware, you must cry for hours, divorce your wife, and sacrifice your newborn. Today, we begin the adventure of Mr. Big Balls, a man with absolutely no scruples and is willing to fuck over anyone for an extra singular shekel, as his goal is to become the richest man in the galaxy by any means, and prove that he does indeed have the biggest balls. We begin with the obligatory Star Wars crawl that I am more and more convinced is legally required in absolutely every piece of Star Wars media. Our hero awakes somehow only as the ship is minutes away from blowing up, where we meet this stick in the mud named Trask, who says I'm contractually obligated to save this woman, to which I politely decline, but due to the overbearing power of plot, I'm required to take on Trask as a companion, as he has the ever important and unique power of opening a door. This is where we engage in the ever exciting and innovative combat system of auto-attacking and queuing abilities. We continue through the ship where I gain access to the ability to commit terrorism, a very key part to help us in the trials ahead. Stick in the Mud then proceeds to sacrifice himself, and I proceed to immediately forget him and our time together. Shit companion, 0 out of 10. I then get contacted by the captain of the ship, who tells me I'm the last person alive and to get my ass out of Dodge. The captain tells me to use my stealth mechanic to sneak past a group of guards, but my name is not Mr. Shriveled Up Pedic Balls, so I completely ignore the mechanic for the rest of the game despite specking into it, because he just has such big balls. Along with the captain, Mr. Big Balls ejects from the ship and crash lands on the city planet of Taris, committing an act that 21 years ago would have been considered a national tragedy. I awake after having a dream about the generic e-girl we were sworn to protect from the horde of simps trying to subscribe to our OnlyFans. Karth then tells me we need to keep a low profile on this planet as they are searching for us, only for us to immediately kill a group of patrolling troops, begin robbing every apartment in sight, and thus being a general menace, for which Karth seems to have a slight issue with.
I know we might need credits, but there's got to be a better way to get them than this. Are you joking? We don't need this guy's credits. There's no need to antagonize the man. Besides, do you want to live in filth? I sure don't.
This makes Karth an even worse version of Trask, as he has something I absolutely despise: morals. Through our investigation, we find an alien being held up in another apartment building I was just passing through, when I hear he's a suspect in organizing a dress-up party that I was not invited to. Feeling left out, but also intrigued, I decided to listen from afar, and as he gets murdered for not giving them any uniforms, I assume they mustn't have been invited either. They then ask me if I know where any uniforms are, to which I don't think they much enjoyed my answer. However, I did come out of that altercation with a shiny new costume that makes my home invasions much easier. Exploring around a bit more, I find that the planet I'm on just happens to be under quarantine because of a virus that's turning people into mindless zombies called rat ghouls. Marveling at how topical this game made in 2003 is, I get a request to deliver the sample of the cure to this virus to this doctor who's looking to replicate and eradicate the virus once and for all. I then get a similar request to do the exact same thing, but instead deliver it to a crime lord for 10 times the price, who I'm sure will definitely not sell this life-saving medicine for exorbitant prices. But you know, you can't put a price on life-saving medicine. It's not right. But you can put a price on my physical labor. After that, I stumble across an alien trader who offers me a droid for 50 credits. Hoping to free myself from the absolute pain in the ass that is Karth, I excitedly accept, only for my newfound pet and companion to spontaneously combust moments after leaving the store. Embracing my inner Karen, I enter back into the store, asking to see the manager and request a refund, and using my fully maxed out persuasion skill, proceed to swindle her for a clean 75 credits, leaving that interaction with a smile. Finally, I find the elevator to actually go where the story wants me to go, down to the lower levels, only to be told by this bootleg stormtrooper that I cannot go down unless I'm a Sith patrol or I have proper papers. I then proceed to strip in front of him, but not for the reasons you'd assume. Now donning my stellar costume, I can access the lower levels with no questions asked. But now I'm informed that there is a massive gang war going down in the lower levels over who has the biggest balls. Little do they know what's coming to them. I immediately get a taste of this gang war as I see a group of black Vulkars confront some hidden Becks, and the Becks get mopped. They then engage me only for the question about who has the biggest balls to be answered swiftly. Moving on, I find myself surrounded by degenerates and gamblers, probably high on death sticks, but I digress. One of these such denizens solicits me to come and play a game called Berserk, which is basically space blackjack. Confident that they can take my title, I get sent on a quest to the upper city cantina to snatch some cards from an old man who's needed to cut his losses and run. It is here where I find one of the best quest lines on Taris, the duel arena. Partnering with a duel, I complete the duel arena to truly live up to my name. Until at last, I meet Bendak Starkiller, arguably the man with the biggest balls on Taris, as he was around in the times where death matches were commonplace, and obviously, he never lost. Knowing my pride was at stake, I challenged him to a duel so I can claim his title.
Bendak is down! It's over! It's over! The fight is over! Bendak Starkiller is down! Bendak Starkiller is dead! Oh, hail the mysterious stranger! The greatest duelist to ever grace the rings of Taris!
This one kill not only netted me a juicy 1000 credits, but it also made me definitively the man with the biggest balls on Taris. But while that compilation was smooth and showed no failures, the more observant of you would see that I did not leave with the same gear I arrived in. This is because I am not a perfect being, as I almost died at ice, died 6 times at Marl, and died 19 times on Bendak until I said fuck this and left to do the actual story. I was only able to defeat him after stumbling across a special kind of weapon, but I'll talk more about that later. After doing a bit more killing, I stumbled across the hidden Beck's base, which was ironically wide out in the open, to which they just let me in and let me talk to their leader under the impression that I, quote-unquote, don't look like the enemy. No wonder they're on the losing side of this war. Their leader tells me that E-Girl is being held by the Vulkars as their prize for the annual swoop bike race, and that the Becks will sponsor me to be their driver if I go and steal back the bike engine that the Vulkars took from them. This is where the plot goes from normal to nutty. He says I need to go talk to a blue E-Girl in the underground, and I have to reluctantly hand over my costume for the less superior papers that let me into the underground. Name me a worse trade deal. I'll wait. After entering what looks like to be Brazil, I get approached by some people asking me what sunlight feels like. It is here where I realize I am not in Brazil, but instead I am at a Reddit convention. I then approach the door where I am confronted with a moral dilemma. An underworlder outside is trapped, needing to be let in. However, he is being chased by rat ghouls and will surely die if left outside. Sensing that this small piece of paradise down here is protected by the ever so intrusive plot, I opt to keep him outside because I enjoy watching suffering. I then receive an unexpected piece of karma as I die from the same rat ghoul seconds later. I am soon greeted by Blue E-Girl, who informs me that her Wookiee companion, Zalbar, was captured by slavers, and while I would normally be in full support of such action, I am also aware that having a Wookiee OU1 is a pretty good position to be in. After slogging through sewers full of rat ghouls and gas mines, the gang finally makes it to Zalbar and frees him from captivity, causing him to swear a life debt to us. This is a double-edged sword as we get Zalbar, who is a certified S-tier companion who doesn't question any actions I commit, is morally grey, and often doesn't speak. Exactly the way I like them. Unfortunately, this also means we get Mission, the Blue E-Girl, who while frequently saying isn't a child, she consistently acts that way.
I'm not suggesting a bath. I know how well that went over last time. But your hair's getting all tangled. Ew! No wonder your breath is so bad, Big Z. Good morning smell like bantha poodoo.
Using my two new companions, we managed to make our way through the sewers and into the Volcar base, effectively wiping out the gang with morally dubious tactics, only to be approached after clearing the whole base with an offer to join them. I am offered a deal to turn on my initial employer and to kill the leader of the Hidden Becks in exchange for E-Girl and a large sum of money. Considering I wasn't offered a large sum of money from the Becks, I'd say this choice was a pretty easy one. Making our way through the Hidden Becks base, it is here where I discover the secret weapon I referred to earlier. So the way that Knights of the Old Republic is set up is that it's based on traditional tabletop role-playing games, with the initial traits, stats, additions, and subtractions based on your gear and initial stats. This is where the concussion grenade comes in. When a concussion grenade goes off, all affected need to try and roll a 15 or higher in a will save. Thankfully, not many AI enemies have very high will. Once affected, the concussion grenade will not only stop the target from attacking for 9 seconds, but their natural dexterity stat, which covers defense and dodging, also falls to 0 throughout those 9 seconds. Even if you didn't get any of that, all you need to know is that this shit slaps and makes any fights, even the ones you really struggle on, an absolute cakewalk. Leaving the base, the gang members are not too pleased with my actions, to which I give them the only appropriate response of, "What are you gonna do about it?" We then make our way back to compete in the swoop bike race, to which we absolutely kill it and win first prize, only to meet the leader of the Black Volkers, Regic. Thinking that he was gonna honor his word, I was giddy in excitement for a fresh set of feet, as blue is not really my color, only for this absolute disgraceful businessman telling me that plans change and that because she's a Jedi she can't be a slave. In a fit of rage and only seeing red, I send Bridget to meet his maker, sending a message to not stand between me and my E-Girl feet. After this heroic save, the woman then scolds me for only buying a tier 1 and says I'm too poor to follow her around. But once I tell her I was sent by a sugar daddy calf, oh does her tune change. It is here where I switch up the companions a bit. Blue E-Girl on my left, and E-Girl on my right. Hands down the best companion selection, until I hear this little bit of dialogue.
I am not stuck up. I merely have the years of training to give me the wisdom and understanding to see how childish such an act would be.
Childish? Is that a crack about my age? You ain't much older than me, Miss High and Mighty. Just 'cause you're some Jedi, doesn't mean you can be a prissy little... What the... Hey, that wasn't funny.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mission.
Feeling the masculine urge to immediately abandon my fatherly responsibilities, I swindle the droid shop owner for a top quality droid and assemble my A-team. With my Chad Wookiee on my left and my reliable droid on my right, we break into the Sith stronghold and kill the planetary governor. At this exact moment, Johnny Sins is planning on blowing up this entire planet because the e-girl banned him from her OnlyFans. Some would call this a disproportionate reaction, but I digress. In the final act of Taris, we meet this old-ass man named Davik, who is a part of this big intergalactic crime group called the Exchange. What they exchange is left a mystery, but I can only assume it to be bootleg Funko Pops. Knowing that this old man has the only ship that can break the quarantine, we set out to steal it, while he's under the impression we want to join his prissy little band of degenerates. Finding the old pilot of the Ebon Hawk being tortured, he gives us the codes to access the ship in exchange for his freedom. When demanding a greater reward, he seals his fate by saying he doesn't have anything else, only for me to find the slimy bitch to have 29 credits on him. I do not fuck around. When I say every credit, I mean every last one. We finally arrive at the climax of this chapter, where Davik and his boyfriend try to leave the planet in the ship that is quite rightfully ours. And they, of course, along with everyone else on this world, meet their maker.
You may have me outnumbered and outgunned, but if I'm going down, I'm taking all of you with me. This thermal detonator will blow us all to bits. Damn those shit! I'll bring this whole hangar down around our ears.
Now that is some top quality dialogue. Escaping the planet, my merry band of companions and I continue our adventure into the unknown. Will Johnny Sins hunt down E-Girl's feet? Am I really suitable Jedi material? And will Mr. Big Balls finally have his name known across the galaxy? Find out next time.